spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scariest Podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace. This is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And we are getting creepier. No, hopefully we're not getting creepier.
Yeah, we are.
We're getting closer and closer to Halloween time. It's great. Love it. And today we're here to read you folks some homegrown horrors. Adam, why don't you tell us what those are?
Homegrown horrors are the stories that you wonderful folks send in to us, and they are typically stories that came from you, a family, or a friend that you know. And it's supernatural, paranormal, spooky, sometimes true crime, sometimes coincidental, sometimes UFO related, but always like something geared towards the content of the show. Maybe it covers a topic that we've actually covered. Whatever it may be, it's something that you send in and say, hey, you can read this on the show if you would like. And Robin, for folks who have a story like that, where can they send it?
You can send it to storytime@scariest.com. That is our email. You can also go to our website, scariest.com. There's a contact us page. You just fill out that little form there, and it gets sent to us that way.
Indeed. So we would love to hear from you. We are going to be reading 4 stories tonight, which is pretty normal. Pretty excited to get into it. So I believe I'm going to be going first, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll just jump into my first one. The subject is, you can read this on the pod, ILY, kissy face. I believe ILY stands for I love you. Not sure, though. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Hi, Adam and Robin.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Rain. I moved to New Zealand in July and had to go through government-funded managed isolation, which is mandatory for anyone coming into New Zealand.
Wow.
For those who don't know...
I don't think they have any cases in New Zealand
right now, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what that is, it's where the government pays for you to isolate in a hotel for 2 weeks. It's definitely a necessary precaution, especially since I was coming from California, and Rona cases were pretty bad then. But in saying that, I spent 2 weeks stuck in a hotel room with my family, and it was then that I found your podcast. Wow.
Nice.
We're glad. We hope that we actually help pass the time in like fun ways.
Yeah.
I listened to a couple of episodes and knew that I had to start from the beginning. So currently, I'm currently in September. I'm on the episodes where all you guys talk about is your upcoming Japan trip and your need for new mics. LOL. Wow, that's so long ago.
So long. That's 2018.
Yeah.
Oh my Lanta.
Yeah, like beginning of 2018. Because we went to Japan in May of 2018.
Yeah.
So
dang, we've been doing this for a long time.
We really have. So, moving forward on the email. Now, on to my homegrown horrors. A couple years ago, I was the sickest I had ever been. Literally all I did was sleep and puke. But one night, I drank hella NyQuil before passing the fuck out. I woke up a little later and checked on the time, and it was 3:30 a.m. In parentheses, RIP, LOL. But I woke up because I heard these little-ass kids arguing in the next room over, and I was low-key pissed because, 1, why the fuck were these kids at my house this late, and 2, why the fuck were they so damn loud? Then the TV on my dresser turned on. The screen was black, but there was audio. It was staticky as fuck, but it sounded like an old horse race, like I could hear the announcer dude announcing. It was one of those old-ass boxy TVs, and even though the screen was black, it kind of lit up the room, and that's when I realized that there was a figure by the TV.
What the French toast?
It was tall, and it was pitch fucking black. I could see its spindly fingers slowly turning up the TV volume. I can't remember feeling scared, though. All I felt was tired. It wasn't that I couldn't move, I was just too exhausted to move. Off topic, but I just think it's funny how if that figure was a dude who had come to murder me, I would have just let him kill me because I was too tired to move. Anyways, the figure kept turning up the volume on the TV, and it got so loud to the point where my ears were literally ringing.
Loud noises are just scary. I've had nightmares or night terrors or whatever where you just have that loud screaming in your ears, and it just freaks you. At least it gives me anxiety. I don't know about you guys, but it was a horrifying experience to have that dream and not be able to wake up from it, and just having that screaming and having it not stop no matter how tight you close your eyes or how much you cover your ears. And just the idea that this guy was like, no, dude, I'm going to crank it all the way up to 11.
Just keep cranking on it. That sounded weird. I'll just go back to the email now.
What?
After the volume reached max, the figure started hovering towards me. I was still hella tired, so I just laid there. It got closer and closer and just went right through me. I sat straight up and puked into the bucket next to my bed. I looked around and realized that I don't have a TV in my room, so I got up, took more NyQuil, and passed back out. I knew it was a fever dream caused by a mixture of the sickness and the medicine.
You're saying you were down with the sickness.
I fucking knew you were going to say that. But I have some more dream-related stories that I'm down to share if you're interested. Y'all's podcast is dope, and I think it's funny that whenever Robin makes a joke about her weight, Adam's just like, no, you're not fat. But when he jokes about his weight, Robin just laughs, LOL. I'm dying inside. But I am on the episode from 2018, so maybe no one's fat anymore. Also, I'm sorry if this was kind of rambly. That's I type how I talk. Shruggy emoji. Anyways, love y'all. Bye, Rain.
We also type how we talk. And no, we're heavier now.
I think you're actually lighter. I've gone through all of our videos, and you've definitely lost weight since we started doing these live. I am definitely heavier, which is unfortunate, because I did go through a period in 2018 where I lost, like, a good chunk of weight, and it just slowly has gotten back on my frame, one way or the other. The Rona definitely didn't help, but yeah, that sucks. But thank you so much for sending that in. We definitely want to hear the additional stories that you have. Congrats on moving to New Zealand. You're a Kiwi now, I believe, so hopefully that's fun. And send us more stories.
Yeah, please. All right. So the next email that I'm going to read here, let me see if there's a from Norma. Before I start, wow, I love and can't get enough of your podcast.
Very nice of you.
Thank you. That's very, very, very nice of you. I came across your podcast on
Shout out to Spot.
I came across your podcast on Spotify while at work, and now I can't stop hearing it. I even got the whole store listening to you guys while I'm at work.
That's some good stuff. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Shout out to all your coworkers and you.
This event happened around 2010 or 2011. My family and I had gone to Mexico. A few weeks into us arriving, my grandma sadly overdosed. That is super duper super sad. After a few days in the hospital, we were told she was going to be released. She's
overdosed but did not pass away.
The whole day, everyone was on edge. My aunt and uncle went to the hospital to pick her up. A few hours passed. It must have been around 7. I was in the living room with my great-grandma. Dang. We were sitting on the couch. I had my head in her lap. Oh, that's so cute. I heard a noise coming from the doorway. I sat up. Before I could turn to the doorway, the cabinet knob caught my attention. I saw my grandma in her baggy blue pants and red shirt, and she waved hi. No.
Yeah, I'm getting a bad vibe.
I already know where this is going.
Bad vibrations.
I got up with excitement looking for her, but couldn't see her. I returned to the living room. By that time, my great-grandma was getting ready to shower. She wanted to be nice. 30 minutes later, both my aunt and uncle came in through the door asking where my great-grandma was. I told them she was in the shower. They took my siblings, my mom, and her siblings into our room and told us that my grandma had passed away earlier that day.
Aww.
That is, again, sad. So it still turned out pretty...
Right, shitty. Got it.
Shitty, yeah. I don't know if my grandma came by to say her last goodbye or if I imagined her. I shared what I saw with my family, but they told me not to tell my great-grandma so as to not upset her. I doubt you'll have time to read this, and you guys are highly popular in 3 Spotify podcasts. What? I don't mind if you guys share this. I just had to get this off my chest. We're sharing it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for sending it.
Dang, we're popular in 3 Spotify podcast categories or something.
Oh, categories?
I don't know if it's categories, but it says popular in 3 Spotify podcasts. I don't know. Interesting. Thank you for sending that in. That's, I think, happens a lot where relatives pass away and something strange happens, but it's like they came to visit you, you know? Or to see you one last time in a creepy way. In
a creepy way?
No. It's just like, because ghosts can be scary.
They come to see you, and it's something that's like supernatural or paranormal, so it's kind of frightening.
So my grandma, as a lot of you already know, passed away earlier this year, and I'm going to share what happened to my cousin because it was just something that was so interesting. He had gone on a run in the morning and had left his keys at home. The door was locked when he left, came back, couldn't get in because he didn't have his keys, so he called my sister to come unlock the door. And he waited, for someone to unlock the door. He heard the door unlock. And then once he heard the door unlock, and as soon as he walked inside, my sister had run down the stairs I was at the foot of the stairs, and he goes, "Did you unlock the door?" And she's like, I just got here. No. And so what he thought was like my grandma had unlocked the door for him. And we went to dinner that night, and it was with my aunt and uncle and our grandpa. We got back to the house afterwards and told my grandpa what happened. And my grandpa just goes like, "You're silly." Like, no, that's dumb. We're just like, what?
Wait, did he have an explanation, or did he just tell him he was dumb?
He was just like, "Y'all leave the door open all the freaking time."
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to be like, "I unlocked the door."
But yeah, no, it wasn't my grandpa or anything. It was just so funny that my grandpa's just like, "It wasn't your grandma, okay?"
That's funny. It's like, you obviously left it unlocked. I don't know. Who knows? That's a really good story.
I think it would be really sweet if it were,
I totally agree. So, good stuff. Thank you for that personal story to wrap up. Or at least wrap up that part of the show. Cool, fun. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back. So I'm going to move on to my next and my last, but the third email of the show. And this one's subject is True Crime Round 2. Of course, you can read on the pod. Exciting. Hello, you lovely folks. Hello. Robin's drinking, but she says,
I'm drinking coffee. Hello.
I kind of nailed that. It's Katie. Tired of hearing from me yet? Nope, never. I heard you guys reading my story again, Fangirl Part 2. I adore your side tangents and always making me laugh. I'm so desensitized to my experiences at this point, it makes me giggle when people react to it. To clarify in comments from the last story, I didn't press charges because his dad had some pull when it came to legal things. I guess he had done some things in the past not nearly as bad, and he never had charges that stuck, and I had a father who was estranged from the law. Good to know. I think this is the one that had to do with the cabin, and like the knife to the throat.
That's what I'm thinking.
The follow-up.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% certain about that, but I'm pretty sure. His dad handled people who did illegal things, and my dad was the one who did those illegal things. I had grown up with a horrid father, and this wasn't my first near-death experience at the hands of a shit man. I'm going to go ahead and put a trigger warning on this story of domestic violence and guns. Here's one of my other stories. I'm so sorry for the length. Don't feel sorry. So everyone has their
People never say sorry about the length. But
wow. I thought you were totally talking about emails until I realized you were talking about dicks. So everyone has their first memory. Some people have one where they went to Disneyland for the first time or going to a fair, etc. I unfortunately did not have such a pleasant one. I was 4 years old and I remember it like it happened yesterday. My father is an ex-Navy SEAL with some mental issues. Those mental issues, however, were not from the Navy. He was fucked up before that. He refused to medicate, so instead self-medicated, and well, you can just add that up. It's a Tuesday night, and my brother and I were watching TV. I was playing at my little plastic kitchen and preparing for a tea party with my mom. Well, the tea was going to get cold, so I had to go get her. Tardiness was just unacceptable.
It's freaking adorable.
Right? I knocked on their door, and they're shouting, but that's not unusual. But she didn't answer the door. I felt like there was something wrong, and I opened it. The scene I walked in on was something I won't forget. I walked in and saw my mom getting held by her throat in the air, not against the wall, just in the middle of the room. My father is holding her with one hand off the ground and has a gun in the other hand.
What the French toast,
right?
dude.
My mom's sobbing and tells me to go play with my brother, and that's when my dad realized I was watching. He dropped her on the ground and strolls over to me, gun still in hand. He holds my arms with the gun against me and tells me that I need to leave so he can talk to my mom. The man that looked me in the eyes, that dad, was no longer my father. Eyes blown from whatever he was on, clearly having a really bad episode. That's so awful, dude.
Yeah.
I just nodded and turned around. My mom makes a run for the door, and my dad grabs her by the neck and walks her into the living room. In his stomping, he stepped directly onto my tea party I had set up and broke a cup.
What?
I, clearly focused on the wrong part of this, was pissed because now how am I supposed to have a tea party with one fucking cup? Way to go. My dad starts screaming, and I'm dialing 911 where my dad can't see. I explain to the best of my 4-year-old vocabulary what's going on, and a car is sent immediately. Things get a little blurry here, but the next thing I remember is the cop kicking in the front door. The gun is now trained at my mother's temple, and my dad starts giggling. I am being dragged out by officers, and my dad pulls the trigger. You hear the distinct click of the bullet about to exit the chamber, but you don't hear the gunshot. I look back and realize that the gun had jammed.
Oh my God.
He was arrested and barely served any time because domestic violence was and still isn't viewed as an issue. By some miracle, the gun that was working fine had jammed, and the police couldn't find why it had jammed. It worked every other time it was tested and shot. This is my very first memory in life, and has shaped the way I view situations and handle them, which is why I am so calm in my previous story. That's one of many stories I have because he was unfortunately in and out of my life, wreaking havoc and abusing everyone in his path for 19 years. My mother's fine physically, but mentally has her struggles. She's a blessing and is the strongest person I know, because Lord knows that man deserves to be dead. On a lighter note, for those worried about things, he recently served more time in prison for more domestic violence and is finally estranged from everyone in my family. My mom is happily married to the most wonderful man, and he actually adopted me. That's so sweet. So I don't have to carry the burden of my sperm donor's last name.
My God.
I truthfully don't know how to end this because it's a lot to chew on. All is good here and no more other recent stories for the past year, and that's a pretty good stake if you ask me. Sorry for how dark this story may have been for some of you, but it will hopefully set your mind at ease to know trauma doesn't define how I live life, and I rarely think of it. Thanks again for all you guys do and the community you have built. I adore you both and the energy you create while telling rather dreary and heart-wrenching tales. Make sure to take care of yourselves and take a break whenever needed. Love you both to death. Make sure to keep it real. Katie. Whoa.
That is intense, especially at 4. Like, that's scary. That is, I don't remember anything that happened to me when I was 4. And that probably means that I was a spoiled brat. You know what I mean?
My memories are just very vague from that time in general. I think I have memories from like 4 or 5, and it's either like birthday parties or my parents fighting, but it was never, ever anything that intense. Like, that is absolutely terrifying. I think it's an absolute miracle that the gun jammed and your mom, like, had her life saved by the fact that this gun misfired. And it's nice to hear that the postscript of this is that she's married to a wonderful human being, and now your dad maybe not be completely out of your life, but at the very least has been incarcerated for his behavior, because that is 100% absolutely unacceptable. So I'm happy that you're as strong as your mom, and I'm sure she's incredibly proud of you, and thank you so much for sending that in. I thank you for putting a trigger warning on that, because it is super intense. But for those of you who decided to listen to it and made it through, I think it's a really good message for folks who are going through something or have gone through something and are still recovering from it, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And it's very, very helpful to hear stuff like that, even if it is kind of triggering to hear it at first. The fact that it has the ending that it does is really, I don't know, perfect, I guess is the best way to put it, to know that, you know, things can work out. So thank you one more time, Katie, for sending that. You're awesome. And so is your mom. And so is your dad. And you know who I'm referring to. It's not the sperm donor. So, right on.
I'm going to get into our final email of the night, and it begins, Hello. My name is Ella Rose from Washington State.
What's up, Ella Rose from Washington State? This is Adam from Nevada. How are you? Sorry, I just did my best Delilah impression.
Hey there, Delilah.
No, God. Moving on.
Okay. I just started listening to your podcast at the recommendation of Jessica Braun on YouTube. Guys, okay.
Shout out to Jessica Braun.
Shout out to you, because I cannot believe how many people have messaged us or commented or emailed us and were like, hey, I'm one of those people. And, my God.
The nicest thing about that to me is that she has a wonderful community built up around her. And I'm always nervous that we might overlap with another content creator, and
that
their
is
community,
toxic.
And their community might bump up against ours in some ways that aren't like great. But there's been just so many wonderful people that have come over and have just fit right in with the wonderful spooky friends. So.
Yes, you guys rock. Okay, I am loving it. Thank you for bringing such great content and making my data entry work day cruise by.
We were just talking about McDonald's when you said that. All I heard was da 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 da. She's loving it.
I'm loving it. Feel free to share my 2 stories. I apologize if you've ever gotten any story times like this before, but I couldn't wait to share because I think this will be right up your alley. I have a recurring phenomenon happen to me at night since around 2nd grade. They're called hypnagogic hallucinations. Mine are always visual, but sometimes also physical and audible. Sometimes they're harmless, and other times they're scary.
Do you know what it's called when you smell hallucinations? Olfactory hallucinations. I know, because my brother has had those before. There you go. The more you know.
The first one I ever had was in 3rd grade, thinking there was a squirrel in my closet. Relatively harmless in hindsight, but then it was scary because I had no idea what was happening, and I just woke up knowing there was a squirrel in my closet, and the shadows from my window allowed my imagination to continue thinking it was there until I went and got my sleepy and cranky older brother to confirm that it wasn't. I've scared 2 people waking from these nighttime hallucinations. A long time ago, I woke my mom up saying that there is metal in the bed, and we both got up and turned on the lights to a perfectly plush, non-metal duvet. Another time, this past summer, I went camping with friends in Idaho, and I slept in a tent with a gal pal of mine and woke her up panicking because I thought there were thousands of tiny red spiders everywhere in our tent.
That's terrifying.
That is terrifying. No. Spiders are a big nope, one. And in the middle of the night in a tent where insects can get in there.
Right.
I
it's
would
not like
freak
it's
out.
beyond the realm of possibility that was actually happening, so I'd be panicked too.
As soon as I turned on my phone flashlight to our peaceful, bug-free tent by the river, I immediately said, "Oh, damn it, not again," in a much too calm voice. That next morning, I found out she has a crippling fear of spiders.
Oh, no.
And I literally gave her heart palpitations that night. I apologized profusely. She said it was fine because she stayed up so late she fell back asleep pretty quick. The worst ones are when I wake up thinking there's a huge spider hanging above me or a ton of bugs in bed with me. These have happened once a month for the past year. Fuck that.
Right? That's the best way to describe that situation.
I hate bugs. The fear of something crawling into my ear freaks
Someone
me
talked
out.
about it the other day, and she woke up from a nightmare of a bug crawling into her ear, which happens frequently for her.
Big nope on bugs. The scariest one was around a year ago. One night, I woke up to my brother in my bedroom standing at the foot of my bed. He's known to come over to mine and my grandma's house and knock on my bedroom door to say hello at all hours. He works nights, but he doesn't just come into the room. I say hello as I come into consciousness and no response. I frantically find any nearby light to turn on, and my quote-unquote brother is gone. I realize it was a shadow figure and not my brother. I'm pretty shaken because at this point I still don't know what's happening to me. After this is when I Googled my experience and come across this article. It's a Healthline article. The shadow figure was scary, but the article is about these types of hallucinations.
Hypnagogic hallucinations.
Yeah. The shadow figure was scary, but I did note that it wasn't a positive entity and it didn't mean me harm either. Or at least that's the vibe I got. I'm kind of glad for him, quote unquote him, because I now know what's happening as soon as I turn a light on and there's nothing there. I now tell everyone I sleep near about the phenomenon so I don't literally give them a heart attack. Sorry, fellow camping friend. I've never had it happen with my boyfriend since high school. Oh, that's cute. But we don't live together. He knows about it, though, and is the least likely person to be afraid if I woke him up to this type of thing. This hasn't happened since I got my dog Bixby on August 26th. Oh, I love doggos. Here's a pic because I know Ron loves animals.
That's so funny.
Not black, but hashtag omen babies. Omen babies don't have to be black.
For the record, omen babies are just any pets of the spooky friends. That's all.
We've had parrots, like birds, big birds, little birds.
We had someone that was on
spiders,
the Discord that would always share their insect
had a tarantula,
pets.
Lizards, reptiles, things like that. They're all your little babies.
The little babies.
Little babies.
Hashtag omen babies.
I am so sorry how long this is, but I have one more interesting, to me, sorry if this is boring, story. The one time these hallucinations have ended in me putting myself in harm's way, because people who get them have been known to hurt themselves jumping from their bed, is when I had one in a motel room. I'm going to take a break and be like, the thing with hallucinations, though, I feel like, too, is I've watched way too many horror movies where they're having these hallucinations and they think they're trying to get a bug off, or they're trying to pry something off of them, and they end up, like, cutting themselves.
Hurting themselves in some way, yeah.
Because they're hallucinating it, and they're not... That stuff scares me a lot.
Now that we know it scares Robin, let's hear what this person had happen to them.
I was in the middle of Nevada in a mine town called Elko. It was my mom, my brother, my childhood best friend, and I visiting the area, as my mom was going to buy land in a nearby, even more rural town of Crescent Valley, Nevada, nearest Barrick Gold Mine. Interesting. I've never heard of these places.
I mean, I've heard of Elko for sure.
In this motel, I woke in the middle of the night, panicked, and certain the front desk called and told us we needed to move rooms. In my sleep, I got out of bed with my best friend sleeping soundly and my brother and mom in the room still, and I left the motel room. As soon as the door latches shut, I wake, realizing in horror what I'd done. I was so scared as I was in 6th grade, so just a little baby,
right,
in a motel hallway in a tiny town across the street from a casino. The population of this area is made up of men who worked in a mine, and here I was in my pajamas locked outside the door because I imagined we were being moved.
Oh no.
Oh no. Sleepy me was so scared to wake anyone else in the motel with cheap, thin walls that I stood there for 30 minutes quickly tapping to wake only my mom up. I knew she was a light sleeper. She was so stunned to see me in the peephole. We laugh now, but it could have ended much differently. Absolutely. Like, oh my gosh. 6th grade, you're what, 11?
That sounds right.
Yeah. And it's just, that's such a scary thing to experience, getting locked out like that. If you got to this point, you're an actual angel, but I love y'all and I hope you keep it up. Much love, Ella Rose. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for sending that in, Ella Rose. It's nice to know that no harm came to you. It's definitely scary, though. That, like, I mean, as a 35-year-old at this point, I can totally relate to it from personal experience of sleepwalking. And now I think, like, what would happen if it was, like, your kid, you know?
Yeah.
You woke up and your kid was missing and they're outside. It would be absolutely terrifying. So it sucks that you have to go through that, especially the spider hallucinations. That sounds awful. And hopefully sooner or later these things just sort of stop tormenting you, or you have like pleasant hallucinations, if those are such a thing. So that's all I have to say, but thank you so much again for sending that in.
Yeah. It's a very scary experience overall. I can't imagine having those types of hallucinations and not knowing what's real.
Right. You have to like get someone to say like, is that real? Okay, cool, I'm going to bed then. So it's nice to have trustworthy people around you if that's the case, but thank you one more time. So I just want to thank everyone who sent in their stories one last time. We sincerely appreciate you sharing such a big part of your lives with us.
Sometimes very personal it's just, parts.
Yeah, it could just be a funny story, but sometimes it's something really deep, like, here's my earliest memory. Also, it's horribly traumatizing, and I've overcome it. And that's a pretty powerful thing, and we sincerely appreciate you trusting us to read those. So one more time, thank you so much. If you have a story you would like to share with us, you can email storytime@scarish.com or go over to our website, scarish.com, and click on Contact Us. If you fill out that form and click Submit, it comes directly to us. If you want to hit us up on any of our social medias, our Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter is @scarishpodcast. Nope, I lied. Twitter is @scarishpod, and Instagram is @scarishpodcast. If you want to join our Discord, that's sort of like a real-time interaction for the community and for Robin and I. If you go to scarish.com, there's a ticker at the top that's scrolling by. One of them says, join us on our Discord. Click that. There's a link in there, and it'll take you directly to there. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us monetarily, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast, and those are monthly donations. There's a bunch of different tiers on there. Tiers start at $1, and you can get ad-free episodes, which is great. And early access on some episodes, and we try our best to add extra content. We do have a physical merch tier, so if you get to be Badge of Honor tier and up, right now I have Wendigo acrylic charms, like keychains, that I'm sending out to everybody. And if you want one of those, they're very limited quantity, so get your hands and put your name in there now. And then if you want to just do one-time donations, you can go to coffeeko-fi.com/scarishpodcast. All your donations go to helping us upgrade our studio setup and kind of keep this going and giving us more time and more of an opportunity to create more content for you folks.
Indeed. So thank you so much for everyone who sent in their stories, everyone who listened, everyone who watched. We love every single one of you. We sincerely do. So I think that's just about everything for Storytime number 141, I think. We've done a lot of them. Holy balls. Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.